there's a world where it's failed, and then I'm not in a podcast, but talking and kicking myself because I spent it all and I could have done better saving it. We just got a warehouse space, and we're gonna do most of the work out of the warehouse for any like shows or productions that we have, and I'm excited to not be in my house and work from my house because I've just been doing that for 4 years. You know.
See, once we visited Jimmy, like he knows this too, but as soon as we saw his warehouse, we were like, oh my gosh, having a place like this, I feel like could make us so much more productive and give us so much more freedom too.
Right.
Because right now our podcast space, like it's good. We have really high quality equipment. It looks professional, but at the same time, the room is tiny. Like the room is significantly smaller than this.
Right.
Right. And it's sole purpose.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like,
is it like the blue?
Yeah, it's probably like the blue.
Yeah.
Oh, no bigger. Probably where those things are.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty small room for the amount of like production that
people
we
walk
get.
in, they're like, "Wow, I thought this was so much bigger."
Yeah,
Right.
but
wide
having
angle
a warehouse,
lens.
I mean, it opens up so much more freedom too. You could have depth in your podcast too, which is kind of sick, and lots of stuff. So we kind of have been dabbling with that idea. Realistically, it's probably not going to happen.
Sure.
But it'll be interesting to see how that affects your work, and if you find yourself more productive leaving the house and working somewhere else, and like being able to separate like home life from work life.
Yeah, I think I'm excited for that idea.
Yeah,
I think that'll it'll change how I feel in my house because I don't think I've felt that in like ever, you know?
Really?
It's kind of funny because I growing up, like I always figured I would do some sort of 9 to 5 at some point, and you dream to do the job where you can work whenever you want. But as soon as you start doing that, and especially if you're working from home, you strive to have more structure and to be able to effectively like clock in, clock out.
Oh, yeah.
And go and like, but if you don't have that, that's all you want. It's just like the grass is always greener. And
schedules are so sick. And when I first went full time, I was just going live, and then I would stay live until I'm tired, and then I would go to bed. And I ended up having just a terrible schedule, and my life was just in shambles.
Yeah,
because I just didn't have a time I had to show up. So I just showed up when I wanted, and I stayed how long I wanted, and it was unhealthy. And I think a lot of streamers are unhealthy because they run that same what I was doing before I switched to like a more concrete schedule.
Yeah, I'm afraid I would just never leave the office if this was something that wasn't at my house.
Yeah, but in that same logic, then you are never mentally leaving the office in your house.
Correct. But at least I'm home.
Sure. Yeah, that's
it's really hard for me to turn my mind off.
Yeah.
It's something I'm working on.
Right.
But yeah, it's hard. When you're in the focus and just like you're in the moment, I'm always thinking about it. It's always in the back of my head.
Especially if you're able, because like it's fine to think about work when you're not at work, but if you're able to act on it too, then it's like, well, why don't I do it right now? Why don't I just go do this thing?
Well, I always have a task. So like I'll make maybe 5 things that I have to do, and my day doesn't end until those things are done. And so usually once I finish up, I'm good.
Are you good at making sure the task list isn't too big or too small?
Yeah, usually. Yeah, there'll rarely ever be something that I put on that list I don't finish. Like, because I just got to get it done, so it'll get done.
Are you good at that? I'm terrible at that. Like, I'm always like, it's 8 a.m. I'm like, all right, I'm do this. And it's so much stuff, I can't get it all done.
I'm not really a task guy. I know there's things that I have to do. I just have things that if I do them, I will feel accomplished for the day. So it's like, I got to work out. That will make me feel good. I got to post at least one video or stream. And so it's like, I just do one business thing. So it's like, if I do all 3 of those, I feel good.
Yeah.
And it manifests in different ways.
Like, what do you have to do for the rest of today?
Today, I have to make a thumbnail for one video.
Okay.
So I can upload that video right after my stream. I have to figure out what I'm going to stream, and then I got to stream it. Okay. And if I do those, then I feel good. And then I have to play at least 2 League of Legends games.
So you're streaming today?
Yeah. Final question.
Cool.
You said China would fail in 13 days. It hasn't.
I didn't say 13 days. What did I say? It was 31 days.
31 days.
31 days. Well, that was meant... I don't want to say in what do you call it?
A lot of the times, what we do for our
tongue in cheek. That was
you quote other people's ridiculous claims, and you talk about said article within the video.
Right.
So it's not necessarily Graham's quote saying that, although he didn't necessarily quotate it or whatever. But
yeah, I think I put in the thumbnail 29 days, but that was in reference to, I think it was Cascane's Academy video, which said 31 days, and I posted like a few days after him. Yeah, I think their economy is in the crapper. I think there's a lot of things that they have to overcome. But an all-out collapse is going to take a lot. People would have to completely lose faith in the system, and there's nothing stopping China from bearing it and just trying to find a way to, snuff this out over here, print more money, ease politics. There's so many things that they could do to prevent that from happening. But long-term, it's not looking good. I think they have a lot of potential, though. I mean, if they really wanted to, like, you know, be competitive, they have a lot of areas that I think they could improve and grow at the same time, and they could be a major competitor. But I think with their current policies, it's not going to happen.
I feel like it's so easy for them to switch it though, because it's an authoritarian regime that, like, if it's not going well, they can see that and they can just do it. They can just change it. It's not like something they have to sway people on or convince companies. They can control whatever they want to.
Yeah.
So they have that advantage. So I feel like they do spin it around.
Yeah, and I think they will continue to do that.
Right.
But no, I don't think it'll collapse in three.
Right.
I actually don't know how he came up with that. I'm thinking it's just, you know, a title sort of deal. It's like, hey, it could be somewhere around here. If you put a time frame on something, people are more likely to click it.
For sure. There's like a sense of urgency.
Yeah. So I'm guessing they're like, what's going to happen on that 31st day that's going to be different from the 30th day?
I think there's also like a inherent nationalism, even for like finance bros or like business guys, to like be like, okay, China's failing. Yeah. Cause like for 10 years they hear that China's usurp America as the #1 economy. So anything that's in contrast to that is like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were worried. Ray Dalio came out with a perspective of the changing world order. It's an incredible video. It's like an hour long, but it explains that the U.S. has been the reserve currency now since I think it was like the 1940s or 50s is when it was officially announced. And no currency has been the reserve for more than like 100 and something years. And so according to him, there will be a point where maybe something else takes over. And so some people were speculating, oh, well, maybe it's Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. And, you know, his argument was that China's growing at such a fast pace that they could outpace the US and they could, but then again, you have to have trust in that currency. And right now there's not that universal trust that they would need. But I think a lot of people took an interest in that. And also everything happening with Evergrande and the fact that it's something different. And, you know, I think just in general, China's been in the media quite a bit. And so people take an interest in that.
Yeah, makes sense.
So when I post those videos too, it's interesting to see because 80% of my audience is US based. When I post one of those videos, it's only 60% US based. So there's a lot bigger reach. And I think a lot more people outside of the US that could watch that video, maybe learn something from it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Because I guess it's like, especially if you're not American or in China, you want to see like big world players, what's going on, feel in touch with those. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I try to make videos that I think people would want to see. So if people are either commenting on a certain topic or I see certain topics doing well, chances are that's a topic that people are interested in hearing about. For sure. And then from there, I'm just happy to share my perspective.
Right.
I got one other question. You said as soon as you passed $1 million in, I'm assuming like what net worth? Like liquid net worth?
Yeah.
That's when you finally calmed down and allowed yourself to add on to like more expenses and overhead and stuff like that. As soon as you hit that, because I feel a similar philosophy. I didn't set mine at 1 million. I set mine between 2 and 4 million. It used to be 4. Now it's kind of 2. I'm kind of like inching down.
Right.
But as soon as you hit that, did you feel a great wave of relief, or did it not really change anything? You feel the same?
No, because it doesn't for me manifest by the dollar amount. I don't really know where my finances are on a day-to-day basis unless I like specifically look it up. I can tell how I'm doing financially by seeing how well I'm doing like professionally, whether it's like my viewership or with like my video views and things like that. So, you know, I think when I was starting to average like 250,000, you know, views a video, or when I reached like 1 million subscribers on YouTube, like those are the things that I'm more able to look at and be like, oh, okay, nice.
And this is a theory that I have, but as soon as you let go of this like financial constraint you put on yourself where you cared about it so much, did you actually see a positive ROI on that when you allowed yourself to take on more overhead and not worry so much about the financial consequences of every single business decision you make? Maybe it spurred more creativity or something?
I think it's a little different for me. I think I have a dumb brain in the sense that I've never been burdened financially or felt stressed financially. I mean, part of that is we grew up middle class and we were pretty comfortable. And then, you know, we had like a decent amount of savings. We had like a life insurance policy. My dad died. So it's like, money was not a big problem. We like college was half paid for. So I always had this mentality that was like, yeah, I'll make money, whatever I do. Like, I don't think I need to be rich or I will be rich, but I'll always have enough money to live life. and it's always worked out. And I always assumed everything would work out. And I think humans are way better at adjusting to the life that they lead than they realize. And so it's like, you know, if I'm at my poorest, which was when I first moved to Los Angeles, I immediately adjusted to that, and I was cool with just eating, you know, peanut butter sandwiches from Trader Joe's. And then if I'm at my richest, I immediately adjusted to that, and I was like, oh, this is normal, and it is okay that I'm getting, you know, insane first class fights, and I think nothing of it. So it's like, there's never a point where I'd thought about it, which I think is a part of just the privilege of having grown up middle class.
And do you think that inner confidence, or even like potentially could be considered naivety, worked in your favor?
Yes.
Or do you think it worked against you? Maybe like you gotta the time is now, I gotta grind, I gotta do all this. Do you think that perspective would have helped you out more? Or do you think this confidence?
Yeah, I think it helped a lot, but it also could be, what's the word?
Survivor bias?
Yeah, survivorship bias.
Yeah.
So it's like, in my mind, yeah, like the idea that everything will always work out has helped me, because it allowed me to throw myself going full time with less money in the bank account than I was comfortable with, and hiring people before I knew if I could even afford the salaries. And it's all worked out, and the business has only grown every year by, like, you know, insane numbers. But that's also because it's grown and it's succeeded. Like, there's a world where it's failed, and then I'm not in a podcast, but talking and kicking myself because I spent it all and I could have done better saving it. But I've never had to confront that because it hasn't happened. So it's hard for me to say if the naivety helped or if I just got lucky and now I don't have to worry about it.
All right. Is there anything else?
That's great.
We're good.
All right, hell yeah.
Thank you.